Tomorrow on Home and Family, actress Erin Krakow from Hallmark Channel's When Calls the Heart is joining us. And actress Holly Robinson Peete and her son RJ from Hallmark Channel's Meet the Peets are visiting our home. Welcome back, everybody. Our next guest is the founder and CEO of Natural Model Management right here in Los Angeles, and also the author of Healthy is the New Skinny, based on her very popular blog. Please welcome to our home, Katie Willcox.
Hi, Katie.
Thank you guys. Thanks for having me.
Welcome,
I love
Katie.
that title. I love that title.
And it's so true, Mark.
Yeah,
Healthy
it
is
really
the
is.
new skinny. This really is a female empowerment movement, and it all began with your blog. Explain the idea behind Healthy is the New Skinny.
Well, I think that since birth, as women, we have been ingrained with this belief that smaller equals better, and our health has suffered. And I think we can all agree that we've justified behaviors that weren't healthy to try to look more like the beauty ideal. And so I decided to come up with a blog that would empower girls and women to choose their health instead, and to create a community around that for support.
But it really took off. It really has become a movement. How did that happen?
It's organic. It's
Yeah.
just, I think sometimes when you put the truth out there in the world of so many false messages, it resonates with people on a different level. And it was something that started just as speaking at a high school and turned into this social media movement where women were looking for a place that they could join, and we created it.
But I love that you actually, you know, you were a model at one point,
Yeah.
that you walked that path.
Yes.
What were perhaps experiences you had that you felt, you know what, I've seen this, I've witnessed this, this platform is needed?
Well, for example, I was scouted as a plus-size model when I was 17 and competing competitively in volleyball. So I was working out for 4 hours a day.
Wow.
Was very healthy and was being called plus-size. So that's right there setting the
Wow.
tone
That
for...
says-
And what is that
That's
saying to your
tough.
brain?
Right, at 17, I was like, what? And then as I worked with, you know, a lot of models who are extremely thin,
Right.
and they were being told to get smaller and smaller, and I'm like, from where? Like, honestly,
Yeah.
just
I
like,
know.
where are you supposed to lose anything, and why? And who's benefiting from this ideal if all these women are suffering? So I really saw that these beautiful women that all these girls want to look like hate themselves.
Sure.
Right.
And the girls that can't look like them hate themselves. And I'm like, so we all suffer? Like, it just doesn't make logical sense. And I wanted to do something that would fight back against it.
Yeah.
Well, then you have gone on to have a very successful modeling agency yourself. Why was this something important for you? Why was this something you wanted to do after you saw so many different women suffer? The really thin ones, the ones that were called plus size that aren't even really plus size.
Right. So I think that we can agree, again, this is common sense. Women come in all shapes and sizes, beauty comes in all shapes and sizes, and we're evolving our consciousness around all of this. And so I knew that we would have to create, it's a supply and demand system, so I needed to make sure that I could provide clients with a different option when they came around to that. So when we opened, we had 2 clients in LA, and now we're 8 years later, we're booking so many new clients. There's more and more that are using all different sizes and not labeling it as plus size. It's just like, hey, this is just another model, which is exactly what we saw when we originally opened.
I just think it's unfair, by the way, that when you shop, girls have, or women have, they have size 0. You know,
Right, that means you're not even there.
You don't exist.
I'm like, why would you do
There's
that to
double
yourself?
zero.
And there's double zero.
Is it okay to have, because there's a plus size and then there's the very, 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 very thin models that are on the runway that are the double zeros, et cetera. What about just the normal size models?
Yeah.
There's no modeling agency for normal people, right?
Well, and what we see is the size diversity right now has been on the plus size spectrum, which also doesn't make a lot of sense to say we're going to take a size 6 model and put her modeling for plus size.
Size
And
You're saying 6 is
yes,
plus size?
anything, yeah, it would be considered plus size. So that's really not representative to a
6?
plus size woman, but in comparison to a size 0, we would be plus size. So
Sure.
this is why it's really important for young girls especially to
Oh my
know
gosh.
this, because the more information they have, they're able to protect their sense of self, to go, oh, wait, this doesn't make sense. Let's empower them to think. Think for
Yeah.
yourself, to go, I'm smarter than this. I'm not going to fall into this trap. And I think that's one way that we work to do that in a way that's cool and fun for them.
Yeah.
I will say,
Yes, sure.
I have a new daughter. Your daughters, Ken, I mean, they're obviously, mine's too young, but at
Right.
this point, but are you concerned?
Well, yeah, like right now it's easy. Like 6 years old wears a size 6. It's
Right.
but that's about to
Exactly.
change soon. I have a 6-year-old and a 4-year-old, and
gosh.
it's not in their consciousness. So
Thank goodness.
How do I prevent it from affecting their lives? Like, what do I do now as a father?
That's such a great question. And when I hold body image workshops, we all have stories from our dads that have made comments or said things that really has lasted a long time. And one thing for me, this happened, was it's not so much about what you're saying to your daughters, but how you speak about women's bodies in general. So a lot of, so if you're saying, oh, she has a perfect body, it's not that you would, then when you say to your daughter, oh, you're beautiful, that was what happened to me. I was like chubby and overweight, and it was very clear what the type of women my dad thought were attractive. And so I internalized that to when he would say, oh, like, I think you're beautiful. I was like, yeah, right, because I clearly know I don't look like that.
Right.
Wow.
So I think there's verbal and nonverbal communication that should just be paid attention to say, let's just celebrate all types of bodies are equal, and no matter what body you have, we're not going to focus our attention there. We're just going to be active as a family, and to really make sure that if you have two daughters with different body types, that you don't treat them differently.
Larissa, are you listening to what Katie's saying?
Why is everyone looking at me? Yeah, yes, that's amazing. I have a question.
We all know.
Is it confession?
Yeah, it's a confession. I had an eating disorder for years growing up, and you know, luckily it got on track with that, and I eat now, and I'm healthy, but mentally I still struggle. You know, my body might be at the perfect weight for me, but mentally I'm still, every time I eat something, thinking, oh, what about that girl on Instagram? You know, what can you tell yourself when it's just not enough to say, no, I'm good as is?
Yeah, well, first I want you to know, everyone has disordered eating, so I think that's something that we should address when we think of eating disorders. We think if someone's been treated, but if we think of disordered eating, everyone we know has issues with food on some level. So it's more about acknowledging that this is a cultural problem, and to say, okay, I know I'm not going to be able to stop those thoughts from coming in, but how I choose to respond to them is going to dictate your future and your sense of self. So I think that you're on the right track to consciously be aware of those thoughts and say, nope, I've been down this road before. I'm choosing something different, and I'm choosing something that's going to make me healthy versus skinny.
No disrespect, but I'm just glad I'm not a woman.
Oh my goodness.
You have so
You need to change this.
Yeah, we really do.
It's such a tough world.
It is. I'm glad that you actually understand how difficult it is.
It's just
for
not.
women.
It's not, because there's just the same thing doesn't happen to men like on any level. There's no parallel. It's just not fair.
Well, you know what?
Not fair.
Listen, guys can sometimes have muffin tops and jeans as well.
But no one says anything.
For more great tips and inspiration, visit healthyasthenewskinny.com. Thank you so much. You are phenomenal.
Thank you so much. Speaking of muffin tops, Lawrence.
That was too easy. Well, if healthy is the new skinny, finding the perfect jeans that fit is the new happy.